Hey, Tammy, can you hear me now?
Yes, good evening.
Tammy, I gotta stop being lazy and go.
Hey, Tammy, can you hear me now?
Oh,
Good evening.
okay. I know I need to have all of the little show intro and all of that stuff, but I'm just lazy, uh, and haven't gotten to it. But thank you for coming on today, and I'm so excited to talk about um leveraging being on TV. I know that you've been doing this for a long time. We've talked about it a lot. And so I wanted to bring you on because you said something to me. I was like, yeah, Tammy, I'm going to do it when, I'm going to do it when. And my whole thing was I don't really want to be with large crowds and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of holding off stuff. And you were like, nah, listen, you can do this. And they use Zoom now, like in this, that, and the other. And so I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about that because I know more, more than anyone I know you know how to leverage TV. So, Tammy, before we get started, tell everybody about yourself.
Okay, so I am Dr. Tammy Patzer, and I have been, let's just say, an entrepreneurial hybrid publisher, publicist for the last 11 years, full time. And before that, I actually was a newspaper editor and a news director at a TV station. And I did a lot of PR type work on the side. And you have to remember a lot of that was done, let's say, pre-Facebook. If you recall, Facebook came along in 2004. Well, how I discovered Facebook and Twitter and all the rest of the social media was literally I was standing in front of students up at the University of South Florida, and they weren't listening to me. They were playing on the computer. And when I walked behind them, I saw what they were doing. They were playing on Facebook. And so I said, okay, I need to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is after a few years of teaching using social media to explain to my students all about how to write, how to get seen and found and heard using both old school and new media. So I knew everything there was to know about TV and radio and magazines, newspapers, and then I mashed it together with Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, and came up with more of a hybrid system. And television has always been one of those mysterious things that people they see people on TV, they used to watch Oprah, everybody wanted to be on Oprah, Dr. Oz, the doctors, Good Morning America, Today's Show, CBS This Morning, all of these shows, or maybe even today, you watch CNN, MSNBC, all of these shows, and you see people being interviewed
Mm-hmm.
regularly. And the big dream is, I want that.
Right.
And I wanted that. I mean, I admit it. When I first got on TV, I just had an anniversary come up. It was about 8 years ago. And to tell you the truth, even though I had worked in television as a news director, I really didn't know anything about guests or about that, because the station I worked for, we didn't do that. We literally had little 1 and 2 minute news segments with an anchor, and that was my job, to do the news,
Mm-hmm.
not to do guests. But so I got really curious about this, and I wanted, my ego was, hey man, I want to be on TV. But why? It's not just about your ego. That does play a part in it, because hey, who doesn't want to be seen and be heard and be able to let the world know that you're the expert. But I started to really look at television and what it could do for my business.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, the first thing I did was I wrote a book because producers like it if you have a book. So that's a little nugget. But you don't have to have a book, but they like it if you do because it gives them something to anchor you to. And people know that authors are considered experts. Hey, they wrote the book on it. So I wrote a book and then I started to dig deeper and I spent thousands of dollars and days and weeks of traveling. I traveled to Los Angeles, I went to Las Vegas, I went to New York. I went all over the country to learn how to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had to go to different TV stations to appear in studio on TV, like in San Diego, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tampa, just all over TV. I've even had clients that, one of my clients was on 72 shows in 3 months. So she literally was crisscrossing the nation to
Mm-hmm.
go to all these local stations. And it used to be that 99% of all TV appearances, you actually had to go appear in person
Mm-hmm.
until 2020 and COVID happened. And that's what you were referring to is when I said, Tina, you don't have to travel anymore to be a guest on TV stations. You
Yeah.
actually can do it via Zoom. And some of the stations now, they only do it via Zoom or let's say a Zoom like system
Mm-hmm.
that that they use, which is like what we're using. But some of them do allow you into the studio with the COVID vaccination status. And I know that's very controversial, but right now, if you want to be on live TV, you need to have the COVID shots, and they do check you. I have had clients who have done live TV and they really do. They check you when you arrive to make sure that your status is that you've been vaccinated, and of course you have to wear the mask, and they practice social distancing. If you see TV shows now, you'll see that everybody's at least 6 feet apart. And even when you say, "Oh, can we get a photo?" Some of the hosts, they actually will refuse now to do where you're side by side with
Mm-hmm.
somebody. But the beauty is for people who want to get their foot in the door to becoming someone who is TV savvy, they can do it from the comfort of their computer, like what we're doing right here. The difference being is that you're going to most often do a pre-recording with your Zoom, and they will give you like 3 minutes. That's a very common length of time for a segment, 3 minutes. Some studios will give you 5 to 6. Some are a little more loose, but they say, oh, it'll be between 3 and 5. And I have had some live events where they have been about almost 5 minutes, and but then there's other ones where it is 3 minutes exactly because they are fitting your segment into their open slots, when they're doing the news.
Yep.
But now is a really good time to get booked on TV and to fast track it. And that's why I'm here tonight to talk about the fast track and the slow track.
Yep. Well, so before we go into the fast track or the slow track, let's talk about the reasons why. So for me, back in 2015, 2015, that was the first time I exceeded over 5 million hits to my website, right? And maybe 20% of that was like Facebook ads or whatever. Matter of fact, might even been a little less. But the majority of it came from the use of video and the use of leveraging my appearances on different television segments, right? And the thing that I learned from that was just all of the pieces that most business owners have missing when they actually go on television, because the idea is, okay, I'm going to get more exposure to my business, but how are you capturing that exposure and actually leading it to a sale? So that's the part that I've mastered for my clients. But Tammy has mastered fast tracking, actually getting in the door. So, producers get all kinds of pitches. There's just so many things that they get. And one thing that I've always said on this show, that if I'm going to talk about it, most of the time, not most of the time, 100% of the time, I'm going to talk about stuff that I've done, that my hands have touched. Or if I'm going to bring somebody on, I'm bringing somebody on that has done it. Now, I know that people can go research a topic and talk about it, but I feel like something gets lost in the translation. And it's funny, that's one of the main reasons why Tammy and I decided to jump on and do this show, because she's talked about there's a lot of different ways being taught. And then at the end of the day, a lot of people are left without having that actual exposure. And so based on ways that she's learned, she's been able to kind of navigate through and move to yet a better way. So Tammy, I wanted to throw that part in there before you started talking about the slow path and the fast path, simply because I remember having a client come to me and like, you know what, Tina, I am on the road 4 days out of the week, on doing events, whether on stages, going to television show, segments, this, that, and the other. But it wasn't translating to the dollars that she thought it would be. And so that's why she came to me. Somebody referred her to me. And so as we go through this conversation, Tammy, I want to make sure we sprinkle a little bit of that in there. You also send me clips of some of your clients. And so like, I want to play a little bit of those clips and then ask you a couple questions too. So but before I play any clips, now tell us on the, the high level, what's the difference between the slow path and the fast path?
Well, the slow path is when you go out and you'll see it. I see it all the time, where you'll see people, they'll say, we will help you get on television. And then they'll do like a challenge and they'll talk to you about how to pitch producers, and how to come up with segments, but they never ever get around to really telling you that, okay, it takes a lot of time and energy, first to come up with a good segment proposal and a pitch. It takes time to practice that pitch so that you don't sound like an idiot, and to get it down to 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they also will, let's say, the gurus, what they're trying to sell you is a mastermind. They're trying to sell you a long training, and they'll promise that you'll meet producers. And some of the key words are that you will meet. Okay, you will pitch in front of, you will do all these different things, and that's absolutely true. But when you get down to the brass tacks, which you said it, how do I make money with these appearances? They steer you away from that question. How do I leverage these appearances? You'll get steered away from that question. You may even get pitch producers and be told, "Oh, we love you, we love you, we love you, and we'll book you." Yet when you do all the things to actually get booked, there it's crickets. You don't get on. That happened to me many times. So I literally said, "Whoa, what's going on here? What is really going on?" And so when I figured it out, I said, "Oh, I can actually help people get booked on TV and do all this pre-work so they don't have to be literally shaking in their boots trying to pitch a producer with an idea, because I can go and talk to producers and find out what they're really looking for." And so that's what I've done. And the thing that I want to make sure that people understand, the reason why you want to get on TV is, yes, authority. It helps you become the authority because you get third person credibility. You want the credibility, the celebrity status. Yes, you get to rub elbows with people who are superstars in the media world. The hosts normally have quite the resumes, and they're very well loved in their communities. And
the gatekeepers to what we see. They are the gatekeepers to what we see. Yeah, on television.
You cannot expect to be on Dr. Oz or the Today Show as your first appearance. You need practice. You need clips. You need to show that you are an articulate, good guest, that you truly are the expert. So what I've done is I've like, okay, I'm going to hold people's hands and skip all the crap. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you have to come to pay me $15,000 for this mastermind where I will, break you down to build you up." I'm like going, "Hey, I'll get you booked, and I will help you to develop your segment." That's what they call your 3 minutes of fame. And then not only that, I'm going to talk to you about how to make money with it. I'm going to connect you with Tina, who's going to help you automate it. I'm going to help you with all of your social media, how to use it. And I'm going to leverage it for you, because being on TV for 3 minutes on a broadcast station, that's 3 minutes on a broadcast station. They do not do reruns on news segments, but you get that clip. And now you're starting to have the arsenal of, "Hey, I was on ABC, NBC, CW on the news." And it also gives you that opportunity where now that door keeps opening a little wider, because now you can say, "Yes, I've appeared on TV." And you can actually send your clip where "Oh, they were a good interview," and it automatically will raise you up into a higher level. And like I said, the nice thing is right now you can be on different television programs via Zoom or live. But the reason why I'm excited about the fact you can be on TV via Zoom is no travel. Your time, it used to be like, let's say that I live in Florida. If I wanted to go to be on TV in San Diego, I'd have to fly to San Diego on, say, Monday arrive. That's an 8-hour flight. The next day, I'd be on TV at like 8 o'clock in the morning. If I'm lucky, I can get a flight out and get home that night. That's still 2 days. Normally, though, it's like a 3-day travel and TV time, depending on the situation. Or if you're on a tour, you could literally, like your friend, be going TV, 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 and it gets very expensive. I actually earned enough frequent flyer miles that I got the free pass for somebody from because I had flown so much around.
So
But
Tammy, I want to pause here because I want to just run one of the segments so that and then just to show an example of someone you know. So hold on.
Okay, parents, do you ever struggle with talking to your kids on how to prepare them for success? Well, our next guest says she can help. And she's only 10 years old. She is currently in the process of writing a book, and I'm happy to welcome Victoria Branton to our show this morning. Good morning. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
My kids are 6 and 5 right now, so I'm very eager to talk with you. You have traveled. I'm a little jealous of everywhere that you've been. You've literally traveled the world. And just recently, you had a chance, I believe in December, you spoke to a group at this great NASDAQ event, which kind of was the launching pad to wait a minute, I need to get this stuff down in writing and write a book. So tell me a little bit about that speech that you did and how that kind of blossomed from there.
So when I spoke at NASDAQ, I spoke about how parents don't really speak the truth to their children, how parents don't teach their children.
So Tammy, I didn't want to play the whole thing because again, we're not going to be here all night, but I just wanted to show like some examples. First off, my gosh, she's young. Yeah, like she's young, but like the poise, my gosh, and she's answering these questions very well. But
I with her, she lived at the time in Las Vegas, and I worked with her doing the training via Zoom, and then I was there with her during the live event, but that was her. She is a very well-spoken young woman.
Wow. Yes. Tammy, we do have questions. So I just wanted to let Bishop Dr. Dre, the Viking Bishop, that we will definitely get to these questions. Hey, Nabi. Nabi says, hey, Tammy. So I definitely wanted to make sure we acknowledge them. But I picked this clip first simply because, first off, of how young she is, how poised she is, as well as, like you were just saying, like you prepped her so that she was ready for this opportunity, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Tammy, tell me, what do you feel doing a segment like that, like what Victoria did, actually, what was the first benefit, the first level of benefits that happened for her?
Well, for the idea behind Victoria doing television was that she's being prepared to be an entrepreneur when, as her parents are preparing her to be an entrepreneur because they own this big company that someday this little girl will be running. But the big thing for her was to get the experience in front of a camera, to be able to speak succinctly because she was only there for 3 minutes. So she had to get her story out in 3 minutes. So it's just like an adult. Any of us, we need to know how to be poised and how to sit in the chair properly and how to speak and answer the questions and just be as natural as possible. And I think she did an exceptional job. And again, being 10 years old, any person watching this, they can go, hey, if a 10-year-old can be on television, I certainly can. And I think, and again, the whole idea is about using that third person credibility that you're getting from being on TV, because it does help you with your business. People go, oh, you've been on TV. I mean, I've seen people, contractors use television appearances to grow their business.
I love that you talked about being, your poise, making sure that you're able to fit during the time segment, making sure you're getting your point across, because during different times and based on different appearances, normally there's a clock. There's a clock that's ticking. So with television appearances, as you said, when we first got started, it could be 3 to 5 minutes. So you got to be real succinct. Like right now, we're doing a live, and we just, we get to control our pacing a whole lot better than what they can control as far as like a TV appearance. So, and I love that I use Victoria first, because being 10, if a 10-year-old can do it, so can you. So I want to go to this next one. So
the following
let's
portion
bring
of Bloom
this
is
one
sponsored
in.
by Empowered to Win.
Welcome back to Bloom, everybody. Vision sets the tone for every successful venture. So joining us now with 5 keys to GPS My Success is motivational speaker and breakthrough strategist Kareem Ellis, who just wrote a book called GPS My Success. Kareem, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege as always. I love to meet new people and meet new faces.
Well, thank you. Teach me. I in this pandemic, a lot of people have calibrated how they want to do things. So how do we track that?
Absolutely. So when I say GPS because everyone's familiar with GPS technology, right? You put in an address, it shows you where to go to. The principles I'm going to talk about are pretty much the same thing, and there's only 5 core principles to it. Number 1, we got to put an address in the GPS. We know a GPS is useless till we first figure out where we want to go. Number 2, we got to move with clarity. When I put an address in the GPS, it gives me crystal clear instructions on how to get.
Okay, so I picked this one. So first, let me tell you guys, Tammy gave me run of some videos and let me pick which ones I wanted. So she doesn't know who I picked for this show. So the reason I picked Kareem, because I thought it was a great example of the social distancing. So you could see the spacing between him and the host, right? And you can see how quickly he got to his point. As soon as that question came out, my goodness, he was, hey, and ready to hit number 1. 5 points, he was ready to deliver them. So that's why I love this example. What do you see, Tammy, when you see that example?
You're absolutely right. Kareem is a really good example. He's an author speaker. And if you noticed the product placement, his book was also on the shelf behind him when he spoke.
Missed that.
And well, it's kind of subliminal. But what I really liked about Kareem is that the fact
I'm trying to get
was
to, right?
very much on point. And that is important. Some people, there's too many niceties, I guess, that they do. You really do. This is your time to shine. And he does a really good job with his 3-dimensional, his face, his hand movements. He's not afraid to use his hands and his facial expressions. He's dressed for success. His book, if you remember, it was there. This is just a really nice example. And that social distancing was very evident. And that is, he wanted to be live. He could have done this in Zoom, but he wanted to be live. And so that's what we did. And he's just a really phenomenal speaker, and he works with Les Brown. And I don't know if he used Les Brown. He did another interview on another show, but one of the things that we talk about is, well, who do you know, or what celebrity can you connect yourself to? And it happened that he's on tour with Les Brown this year, as a speaker. So, we made sure that we connected him. All of the people I work with, I always, we have discussions about, well, what are your goals?
Yes.
Why are we doing this? Are we doing this? Is this just an ego thing? Because I know, and I'm going to give everybody a little bit of the ego thing, but when we all have to boil it down to, okay, is this about impact, influence, income? And because I need to know how to guide you. And for example, with Kareem, he actually gave something away. It was I think it was a GPS checklist. It was something that he gave away for, so he'll be able to monitor how many people came directly from his TV appearance. But all of these clips, remember, it isn't just about that 3 minutes of fame. It's literally about, what are you going to do with this? How are you going to use it and leverage this on your website, in the real world, for your sizzle reels? Maybe I think they did take some of his interview and put him into a sizzle reel, so that when he walks onto the stage, we'll show him on television.
Absolutely. Okay. So now I want to go to the next one. So let's bring this one in.
Good morning, I'm Amy Lynn. So when you eat organically, you're thinking, I'm eating a lot healthier, but our next guest says that may not be the case. VB Parlkar of Trivedi Global recently spoke at NASDAQ, and he's here this morning to tell us about it. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, VB. So right now, what do you think is the biggest problem that's facing the agriculture industry?
Right, the biggest challenge with agriculture and our health today is toxicity, which is linked with all kinds of diseases and disorders that we know of.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, the main source of toxicity in our systems is the food that we eat, whether conventional.
So Tammy, the reason I picked that one was because I liked the way the host anchored. He recently appeared on NASDAQ. So it was like she was using some of some credibility he already had to kind of introduce him to her audience. So what do you see when you see this clip?
So this is, I call that your $1 million introductory bio. What we do, because remember, the host has never met the guest before. Maybe they chatted for a minute or two. But when we work together, we come up with a bio that the host will actually typically read, or they'll take our talking points and weave it. These hosts are very professional, so they make it sound like they're just talking, but they're actually reading a teleprompter. And so what we do is we write exactly what we want them to say. If you're an international best-selling author, we write that. If you've recently spoken at NASDAQ, we write that. So we try to come up with, that 25 to 50 words of gold, because then, like you said, when she said that, it set up his credibility immediately, that he had just spoken at NASDAQ, which he had. The same with Victoria. She had also spoken at the same event. So every person needs to understand that the introduction that you send in with your paperwork for your segment needs to really highlight you, because whatever comes out of that host's mouth, now you've got the audio clip of them saying that, you've got the video clip of them saying that, and it's very helpful to you for the future. So everything that you're doing with television, it's never about just that one segment that you're doing. It's all about, how am I going to use this? What is the purpose of this particular show? What are my talking points? Most people don't do the same exact talking points every time they appear on TV, but could, because
Yeah.
it's always going to be different. But they generally are trying to, when they do a tour, they're trying to get some little sound bite that they can pull out that says that you are the expert, you're the celebrity, you are the one, you're the authority, so that you can use that clip for, the sizzle reel, for whatever it is that you want for the future. And the beautiful thing about TV appearances is, unless you drastically change your appearance, they have a long shelf life.
Yes.
I still look the same as I did when I first did some of my TV appearances, and I can run them, and people think I was just on TV because I look the same. I haven't changed that much.
So Tammy, I want to ask a couple of questions, and I think some of the questions that I want to jump into now are going to actually begin to answer the biking bishop, Bishop Dr. Dre's questions. So I know that you like to train people to do this, as well as you also actually do the work for them. Of course, they got to work with you so that you can help prep them and this, that, and the other. But actually making the calls and the submissions, I know that you have both. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you do the teaching in a different way.
So the way that I like to work with my clients is, I actually, over the years, have developed a relationship with different producers and hosts at different stations. So what I do is, I actually keep a record of all of the holidays, all of the days, the events, the special things coming up. For example, February. Everybody knows what the big thing, Black History Month,
Yeah.
is happening, and Valentine's Day, and there's a whole bunch of other, like, health related days. So what I do is I go, oh, okay, I'm going to check and see what these producers, what are they doing. And so I actually go and I pre-talk to producers to find out what it is they're looking for. And then I say, well, if I bring you guests, would you have them on? And the answer, of course, is yes. So I do it a little differently. And the way that most people do it is they come up with their pitch, and then they go and they try to find somebody who's interested in their pitch. And I do it opposite. I reverse engineer it and say, okay, this is what they're going to be talking about this month. So what would you like to add to that conversation?
And you told me the same thing. Like, literally, Black History Month,
right.
Black entrepreneurship.
So with Black History, I mean, that's a really good example because it's a whole month. That means you could be on TV any day. And again, I can, this is what I mean by the slow way and the fast way and the slow way. So I just told everybody, hey, you can go get on TV and talk about things related to Black history. Okay. And come up with your pitch, come up with your talking points, whatever you want to talk about. And then you literally could pick up the phone and start calling all of the booking producers and trying to pitch them over the phone, right? And you, after, would be a numbers game, and you could spend 3 days. I actually had a client once that asked me, well, how do I do this myself? And I said, come up with the pitch and make phone calls. And they called me back and said, this is hard. And I'm like, yeah, it's not, it takes time and energy, and most people have more money than they have time, right? And so what I do is I go, hey, you want to talk about Black History Month, I'm going to go find people who will talk about Black history, and then I'll work with them and say to them, hey, I can guarantee that you will get this 3-minute segment on this station talking about whatever, Black history or I did a segment once, and I still laugh about it because I'm a social media advocate expert, and so I did how to find love on Facebook. I don't know anything about finding love on Facebook, but that was what the TV station wanted, and so I just used what I knew about how to make friends on Facebook and added the word love. But it was so funny.
So is Nabi telling us that we're going to add Nabi's birthday as one of these days that we're going to do today? But if today's his birthday, then happy birthday, Nabi.
So, just to let you know, Nabi is in Australia.
Yes.
Nabi could be on TV in the United States.
Ooh,
via Zoom, talking about his money mentor programs and books, because I think all I remember about Nabi is that a book, and it was like Money Honey or something, because there's a picture. But people in Europe, England, United Kingdom, Australia, anywhere that not in the United States can still appear on US TV because of Zoom. They just have to adjust to the schedule of, is it Eastern time or whatever the schedule is. Because the other day when I was in Tampa with one of my clients, they go, yeah, we just interviewed somebody in Australia, and they said, whoa, it was really interesting because of the time difference.
Yeah.
So just to let people know, this is the beauty of television today. You do not have to travel. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to wear the mask. If you're an anti-COVID vaccine person, you can still be on TV because you don't have to be in the studio. With that said, some studios you can still go in the studio live, and that's an experience in itself because of, they have the sets, and they have one of the Tampa stations, they have like 4 cameras, so it's a very interesting experience. Plus, you never know, you run into celebrities in the green room, and it's just a little more fun. But if you're looking for television exposure that you can leverage to create more impact, influence, and income, hey man, I would do the Zoom route.
Absolutely, because you can stay home. So Tammy, let's talk about, I know that you've created this intro into TV package right now because of this special time, because right now, whether you want to travel or not, whether you want to do in person or by Zoom, there is an opportunity. Everybody's looking for content. There's an opportunity for you to get in front of, use TV to help you grow your business, your book, like you said, whether it's impact or income, that's your goal, you can actually use TV to do that. So tell us about this package, and I'm going to put the link up.
Oh, okay, great. So what I've done is, like I said, let's just say it took me a while to get through, but I actually have made arrangements to have some of my clients be on a television news program. It's in the 64th market, which is Fort Myers, Naples, Southwest Florida, on WFTX TV. And you actually saw in the clip, I believe Victoria's clip was with the host of that show. And I think VB's clip was with the host of that show. And she would be the woman interviewing you on Zoom. And what it is you get a 3-minute segment. And I would work with you with your pitch or your 3-minute program with all your talking points, your sound bites, what you would need for your what's called B-roll, which is images that run behind. And you saw a lot of that in Victoria's, where it showed the pictures of her traveling the world. We would work on sound bites. I would prepare a media one sheet for you, and I would create that $1 million bio for you. That is something that you will be able to use for everything, not only television, but also podcasts, webinars, interviews. It's a very powerful tool. And then, of course, the 3-minute segment. And then what I do with all of my TV segments is I produce a press release that I send out to my big distribution list with the clip of you on TV. And the beautiful thing about that is that means that the video gets picked up by more than 200 different media outlets and Google, and the video actually gets shows up in the Google search along with the press release. And what that does for you that's kind of interesting is many people, you're on TV, and let's say you're on a Fox station or ABC or NBC. Well, the press releases are submitted out to all of the media outlets, and like ABC, NBC, CBS. And so you actually get the ability to have some more graphics as featured in, if it's a newspaper, but your TV appearance is as featured on. That's how I see the difference of those. You're in a media like a newspaper or a magazine, you're on TV. That's the difference of the words. And then, of course, you're going to get your clip of your appearance that you can use. You can put it on your YouTube station, or you can put it on your website, all your social media. And I put this big package together. And again, it's the value is way more than what I'm putting it out there for, but it's $19.97, and Tina has graciously, how do I say this? She's made it so that you get a coupon code and to save $500. So Amplify, which is AMPLIFY, is the code, the promo code. And if you type that in, you'll immediately save $500. Now, this is something important, that this is not something that you go, oh yeah, one of these days. like I said, I pre-negotiated some slots for February for people to get the interviews. And so I've got openings on February 10th, 17th, and 24th of this month. And again, the beautiful thing is that all the interviews are done via Zoom on Thursdays. That's why the dates, the 10th, the 17th, or the 24th. And it's a very limited opportunity because I can only have like 3 people interviewed per session because, it's not it's just not an unlimited commodity or whatever. There's only so many opportunities per show in their news program, and that's what I've got. And like I said, I'm really wanting to work with people who want to get their foot in the door with TV, because what we can do is we take this one TV opportunity and then you get the experience, you get the confidence. And again, if you want to learn how to book yourself, I certainly can help you go that direction, or I can go ahead and get you booked on other stations around the country. So
Tammy, I'm gonna throw in something here. Okay. I didn't even plan on doing this, but I feel like this is such a golden opportunity, right? So I want to throw this in. So anyone that uses the code Amplify, first off, you're getting $500 off of this opportunity. So that's huge. But the second thing is, Tammy, anybody that uses the code, if you you can connect them with me and I will give them a strategy session. And my strategy sessions are $1,500. So you're going to get that for free. And what I want to do is give you the strategy session so that you can leverage this opportunity by making sure you have a lead magnet or something to lead to. Because most of the time, a lot of times people go on TV and they go, hey, go to my website, TinaBrinkleyPotts.com, and you don't have anything up there that is really going to capture the leads. Now, if you happen to go to my website, I have retargeting stuff, this, that, and the other. But also on my homepage of my website, I have an opt-in for you to give your name and email address. And so I want to make sure that you are actually using this opportunity in a best way. Like, the things that I love doing is showing people how you can automate the buying process, the client journey, so that you really need to do is drive traffic in your business. Now, for some people, they may still need to do a telephone call or two, but technically, if your products or services are $2,000 or less, we can literally help you just drive traffic, and with video or with just emails and text messages, be able to lead people to actually the sale by developing awesome relationships. So Tammy, I'm going to throw that in.
Wow.
I'm going, yeah. So that's actually,
in other words, when they get the TV appearance and they get the strategy session from you, they're basically, you could look at it either way. They're either getting a free strategy session or they're getting to be on TV free.
My gosh. Yeah. Like, I mean, first off, the value that you already put in it because of the work you have to do. You have to prep.
Yeah, there's work involved.
Like the value was already way over. But Tammy, we got 2 minutes. So I just wanted to drop through some of these comments to make sure that you knew them. So again, Bishop Dr. Dre says, so Dr. P, are you still representing clients?
Yes.
And then she was like, oh, well, if not, but I knew the answer was yes. So she says, my trouble has been trying to find the right rep that has connectability of the media. Dr. P has connectability with the media. Bishop Dr. Dre also says, by the way, I've been on Oprah and had a number of other shows through my own efforts because that's what I used to do, PR. So, by the way, I'm not trying to make money by the appearances. That's cool. My appearances would bring about revenue by other means, just for seeing and hearing what I have to say while I'm on. We talked to Nabi because he said hi. And you know what? I also want to send a shout out to Nabi because he is such a great supporter when we're on live. Thanks, Nabi, for always showing up from the other side in Australia. What else did I want to do before we run out of time? Bishop Dr. Dre's show is called Your Voice Matters, yourvoicemattersradio.com. And Nabi said that it is currently midday Saturday there, and Want More Money, Honey is the name of his program. Yep. Yes, I remember that now. Nabi has a great tool. And Nabi, I forgot, but Nabi has a great tool that you can go in and punch some numbers and it's going to help you get out of debt. I love what Nabi does because he helps women who have not otherwise taken control of their finances. There are still a lot of women in the world who, for reasons of like divorce and things like that, that they have to learn finances as an adult. And Nabi does a great service for them. So I just wanted to shout Nabi out and say that his cake day is on February 17th. Tammy, I know you got to go, but what do you want to say? I'm going to put that link back up so that people can see it. What would you like to say before we go?
Just that, take the opportunity to get your foot in the door for television, because in our conversations that we will have and that you would have with Tina, you're going to get what I would call foundations to fame. It isn't just about this one TV appearance or even 10 TV appearances. It's the foundations that you can create to grow your big message and big mission, because we're all here. We have a reason and we want to make an impact. We want to have big influence and we want to have the income. We need to have that automation, that business foundations in place to make all of this work. So yes, your ego is going to get the little tweak, but your business is really going to get the solid foundations to grow. And that's why I wanted to be here with Tina, because she's got, when we have, Tammy and Tina TNT, when we mash it together, it's the big, real deal. And it's like, oh my God, ding, ding, ding. You mix the TV, the podcast, all of the marketing together with that automation, and you'll watch your business just skyrocket. So that's what I've got. And
without the overwhelm,
the Amplify, save $500, get on TV this month. We're not talking about drawing this out into this big long thing. It's like boom, boom, we're doing it. And I think that's so important, to take action. And my name, Tammy, Tami, take action, marketing implementation. That's it. So take action. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this and putting it together. And hey, you get guaranteed, you're on TV, you get results.
Awesome. So Tammy, thanks as usual for coming by, coming through. And I think Tammy said it all. So don't miss this opportunity. Thank you guys for joining us for this show. I'll see you the next time.
Thank you. Jan. I really appreciate it. It was lots of fun. Bye, everybody. Thanks for showing up.